Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Angelica. I'm a citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and I currently serve as Grid Alternatives Leadership Programs Officer, where I have the opportunity of running our Tribal Energy Innovators Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. We will just be going over the application overview and just reviewing some of the processes. To kick it off, I'm just going to go ahead and go over some housekeeping things. This webinar is being recorded, and the presentation slides will also be available within 1 to 3 days, and you'll be able to access that on our Tribal Solar YouTube channel that is connected with the website. To reduce noise on the phone line, all participants will be in listen-only mode during the presentation. I will have the opportunity to answer any of your questions after I'm done presenting. And if you have any questions, you can use the questions pane in the control panel. We also have John Teller, who is our comms officer, moderating the chat. So if you have any questions, he will assist with making sure that those get brought to my attention. If you have, yes, again, another question, you can click on the raise hand button on the grab tab. If you are on a telephone user and you wish to ask a question, you must enter the audio pin. And if you have selected the mic speakers as your audio choice, please test your system settings prior to asking a question. All right. So for this webinar, we are just going to kind of go over, what is Grid Alternatives in the Tribal Solar Accelerator Fund, what our missions are, how we connect together, and then an overview of what the last 3 to 4 years have looked like for our fellows that we've had previously. And then in the second part of this presentation, we will go over the application process. All right, so Grid Alternatives is a nonprofit organization. It has been around for around 6 years, and it started out in the Bay Area with the hope to be able to provide low-income families and communities with access to renewable energy and to help provide that at a free and accessible way. So essentially kind of really helping to mend the gap between individuals trying to have solar on their homes and trying to tap into some of the benefits that exist for having solar for your communities, for your house, with such things as like the lower cost for utilities. In its conception, it really wanted to be able to be for the people, work for the people, and within that, it's been able to expand internationally. We have offices all throughout California, Colorado, Maryland, and even Nepal and Nicaragua. So the mission and the vision has really grown into creating opportunity for solar and renewable energy for low-income and rural communities, as well as expanding economic opportunity and having an emphasis on the planet and the people, so also workforce development and kind of really spreading the impact of what lower carbon emissions can do. Within that, in around 2011, started the National Tribal Program. And the National Tribal Program is an incredible program through GRID, and it's really allowed for a lot of development through Indian country in that we have solar installation teams that go, and I believe that our tribal program has worked with over 20 tribes, and they've had the opportunity to go and do installs on community and residential builds. They've assisted with technical assistance and have done really incredible work to advance the workforce development and bring in people to be trained, to have the installation basics training opportunities, and just to get to have that really good basis of what is tribal renewable energy, as well as connecting with communities on how to start these processes for themselves and to expand that kind of nationally. And within that kind of was prompted the Tribal Solar Accelerator Fund. So the programming is really incredible, and what we saw was this need for access to funding, for tribes to have access to be able to fund these systems, to bring people in and to create, the microgrids, or to help with their community and residential solar. And so through that, that's where the Tribal Solar Accelerator Fund began. And we initially started with some donations from Wells Fargo. We have expanded from having donations with the Bezos Earth Fund. And our mission really serves to kind of catalyze that development for tribes in being able to access grants, and to have opportunity to do their renewable energy projects and strive towards grid resilience and tribal energy sovereignty. And within that, we have a few different key areas that we like to hit on. We like to hit on not only the access to funding, and we do primarily serve as grant makers. So you will see that we have 3 different grant types. We have gap funding, we have our residential and community builds, and then we also have our planning grants available for tribes to access. And they kind of exist in different ways, in different capacities. So our planning grant's a $25,000 grant, or it previously was, I believe it moved up to $50,000 for this next grant cycle, if I'm correct. And what is nice about that is it allows tribes to access opportunities to get their projects started, developed, and wherever they may be within their initiation phase of getting prepared to apply for either our gap funding or residential community build grants, which is up to $250,000. And within that, because we know it's so important to have tribal leaders who are doing this work, we have also been able to dedicate our programming to investing in tribal leaders. So we have different programs that exist, and I'll give a brief overview of that as well here in a little bit. But we have our leadership programs, and that again just serves as a means to help invest in the tribal and our tribal members, the individuals, to provide education and experiential learning opportunities. And throughout our work at the Tribal Solar Accelerator Fund, we have been able to have an impact with over 65 tribes. And within that, we've been able to be a part of so many amazing different projects and solar energy systems. And just honestly, it's so cool to see all of the different tribes and the community that has been developed and strengthened within the Tribal Solar Accelerator Fund. And so this is our TSAF team. So we have John Teller on the left here. He is our communications officer. He's actually hanging out here with us right now. And then we have our development director, Tongshi Claremont, who helps oversee essentially the functioning of our organization. And then we have Christian Weaver, who is our programs director and is overseeing the grants management and the grants that I had spoken about earlier. And that is me right there on the right. So we are an all native staff here at TSAF, and it has just been phenomenal to kind of create that community within Grid. And we all kind of just work together with our tribal team and with Grid Alternatives in all capacities to help support the tribal work that is occurring. Now, going back to the leadership programs, we have our community and fellowship. So these are the programs that I oversee and that I run. And we have different ways to stay engaged with TSAF. I think it's important to highlight. So again, we're really trying to be able to engage individuals, engage leaders, and invest in their development. And so we do that through several different stages. The one that is highlighted is community and fellowship. So the fellowship, again, is what we're speaking on today. But again, just allowing for the continued support of our fellows and their development and continuing to keep them engaged with our programming. But beyond that as well, also having an emphasis on education and experiential learning. So we also provide scholarship funding for undergraduate students. We have internships, and then we have our summer associates program, which is an online 8-week training program. It's all virtual. It's a $5,000 stipend, and those applications close on May 15th. It really is kind of some stepping stones and an introduction to tribal renewable energy, and is just a great way to kind of get involved and direct anyone who might have interest in this work. Now, our Tribal Energy Innovators Fellowship is really more so established for tribal members who've maybe been doing this work a little bit longer, have some projects that they're interested in, want to really move forward in gaining support. And so the Tribal Energy Innovators Fellowship is a year-long program. It is a $25,000 stipend, and the participation occurs through August of 2023 to July 2024. Now, this is our 4th year that we are accepting applications for the Tribal Energy Innovator Fellowship, but the first cohort started in 2020, and it started at a sum of $5,000, and slowly the amount has been able to progress through the dedication and the work of Tongshi Claremont, and being able to create programming that is honestly just incredible the more we see it grow. So on the left here, you'll kind of get to see that we have our TSAF team here, but we actually have 3 different years of fellows lined up right here, and they're really awesome. You might recognize them, but they are tribal energy leaders. They get asked to come and speak and just to inspire, and they have a lot of projects that they've been doing in real time and seeing the completion of, and so it's incredibly motivating just to see, you know, the work being promoted and the work being recognized and the community that's developed. And we also have Petla here. He's in our current fellowship cohort, and he went all the way to DC from Alaska using his fellowship stipend to be able to come and connect and really create important connections for the work that he's doing. And you'll see that we have our tribal team here, and we have one of our other fellows from this year, Anthony, and he was able to join the tribal team on one of their install builds to help him kind of fill in some gaps of knowledge that he had, and to really build up his confidence around the work he's doing. So the work around our fellowship is really inspiring. It's really incredible. We've had the honor of having so many different fellows at this point, and they all come from a very diverse background. I feel like that's really important to emphasize. You don't need to have gone to college to get this fellowship. We are really just looking for people who are committed to this work and who are motivated and want to gain access to the resources. So with the Tribal Energy Innovator Fellowship, we have the opportunity to engage individuals in not only our internal network through Good Alternatives, but our external networks as well, and be able to kind of leverage those resources as well as create connections. I have the opportunity to meet both in a group setting and individually with fellows, which means that I'm getting that real-time connection of being able to understand what the needs are for the individual fellows and be able to make those private connections or to create content to be able to deliver back to the group. And one of my favorite things about the group meetings is sometimes this work can feel super isolating, but you have a space to come in and you just talk about everything that's happening. And a lot of times it's very similar to what's happening for other people in different communities, even though they're just like thousands of miles apart in completely different tribal communities. So it's really inspiring to see just, again, the communities that are there, the support that exists. There's a lot of collaboration. There's oh, I saw this, you should try that out. And it's incredible to see. And within that, we are also having we have our yearly convening for our Tribal Energy Innovators Fellows, meaning that we will convene once a year as fellows and be able to kind of get to see each other in person. Most of this fellowship does take place virtually, and so that's kind of the convenience of it. I would say is also that it's monthly meetings, group check-ins, an individual check-in with me, and then you have your year-long commitment of making sure you're participating, and in anything like written write-ups. A lot of times we'll do write-ups kind of in a way where it's just like reflect on the work you're doing, or what resources do you need, or like what advice would you offer, so we can kind of have that database and also kind of understand what the needs are. But within that, it's just kind of that online engagement, this writing, expectations, and then being able to join at the convening. And so again, our priority is to help support the development of innovative ideas and the use of problem-solving processes that lead to sustainable renewable energy solutions for tribal communities. Some examples of just different fellows too, because like I said, we have a very diverse background of individuals who come to us, and to just make sure that you feel confident in the work that in your application. We want to see your application more than anything, but we have individuals who are developing like battery plus storage systems and off-grid installs, and are engineers, and they've been academics. And then we have other individuals who've kind of gone through this route of really pursuing food sovereignty through the use of solar energy systems and renewable energy, and kind of thinking of different ways to help their community promote energy efficiency, and as opposed to like trying to become like their own utility. And so we just, again, we've had different individuals. We have parents, we have those who are working as like environmental health specialists, and have kind of come from their different backgrounds. And so we really are excited to see what this year, you know, where everyone is coming from, and their project ideas. And a lot of times when we say the word innovative, you know, sometimes it might be something that you've seen happen in another community, but it's the first time that it's being brought to your community. So in a way, it's very innovative, and we want to make sure that that's emphasized as well, that we know that innovation doesn't need to be brand new. It can just be something that is necessarily like creative or to the community, or being reintroduced in a way that has movement. Just an overview, I've spoken to some of this, but our TEI objectives are to provide a fellowship award, you know, to create a plan and develop new solutions to tribal communities' renewable energy challenges. So really kind of looking at ways to kind of address some of these energy issues that are occurring, and to be able to engage the tribal community and create opportunity to just make the most of existing assets, work collaboratively with other tribal organizations. And really that emphasis on community is super big for us. We are super excited to really see the impact of what programming over 3 to 4 years looks like, and how we are able to engage with 65 different tribes in this work, and just the knowledge base that exists there, and to share within that. And then we also have, you know, the opportunity to learn from and to be mentored by an industry professional on best practices in renewable energy for rural and underserved communities, business, enterprise, modeling, planning, and other areas of technical support. Again, kind of that tapping into both our internal resources through Grid Alternatives, as well as our external resources that we've created and community that we've created. Just again, since our fellows are very diverse in their interest, so are their mentors and the people that we use to kind of be able to connect others with, so that they can kind of grow in their work, and to feel confident and supported. So moving on, we need to go over the application. So we'll kind of go through, like, there's the application guidelines document. You will be able to access that on the website, thetribalsolar.org, under the fellowship information. This year we are utilizing a application portal, and that again is linked on the website as well. That portal has you create a user account, a profile, and then you will want to make sure you click apply through the fellowship link, as it is very specific, even though it is connected to the portal. So create your portal, the link will take you there, and it will provide you with a list of different questions to answer. And then we have just our application. It's our general information section. And then our narrative section. That information section is mostly taken in when you create your profile on the application portal. And then your narrative section will be the questions that you're answering. Our submission, we have decided to move it to June 30th just to create opportunity for individuals, especially as kind of spring is super busy, lots of deadlines coming up. So June 30th will be the deadline for the TEI application. And again, you can access those applications on tribalsolar.org. Okay, so we have just an overview of just like the application review process and what we do on our end. We do have a review committee, and we are kind of looking at these 7 different sections. So solid and concrete matches between the fellowship purpose and the renewable energy innovation. So really just making sure that, you know, your interest in your project idea is kind of aligned within the mission of TSAF and the work that we're doing. Seeing that there is a clear focus on supporting renewable energy infrastructure in your tribal community, that you have demonstrated ability and or experience necessary for a successful fellowship project / idea, that you have a clear plan of action, including specific goals and measurable objectives, that you have a budget narrative, so thinking about how you're going to use this $25,000, partnerships that engage broad tribal community participation and support, so looking at how you're connecting with not only your community, but other partnerships that might be necessary for you to be successful in your project and or idea. And then just the potential for your idea to be applied and or replicated in other tribal communities. So going back to that innovative kind of emphasis. And then we'll look at your strengths and weaknesses, and then we'll have additional comments as well. It is graded out of a rubric that totals 100 points. And so that's just kind of something to think about on, like, these 7 sections are really core key, making sure that you are taking the time to answer the questions directly and spending time explaining your interest and making it as clear as possible. And then just again, the overview of what the commitments are. So bi-monthly check-ins, individual and cohort calls. So essentially the model that we've been doing this year is the first week of every month we meet as a group, and then on the 3rd week I meet individually with our fellows and we do check-ins, and this just allows us again to be able to provide support and understand what resources might be needed to help fellows continue on with their project. And then we do plan development. So we'll go over your plan and we can help set goals and look at where the project's developing. Kind of, again, it's really a time to dedicate towards you, your interest, the project itself, and for you to have that dedicated attention, really to kind of help prompt the movement of your ideas. And then we have our final convening, which is also demonstration day. So we'll need a report. We'll need kind of just like the completion of the program. Our final convening, we will have fellows present on their work. This year, we're doing a convening in Denver, and we're going to be inviting some other tribal members and grantees who've been doing this work with us. So they'll have the opportunity to present in front of everyone there, and then just kind of gain opportunity. In the past, we've done a virtual presentation panel to highlight all of our fellows' work, and so we will just kind of continue on as it moves forward, but that's almost always done at the convening. Again, just overview, our TEI award is $25,000, and so to get your funding, we're going to have a signed fellowship and contract in by August 5th, 2023. I've got that 2022 date there, but please disregard that on the bottom. Awards will be split into 4 payments of $6,250. The first payment will be due September 1st, 2023, and so on through July 31st. The second payment will be contingent on participation, and so that's where your calls are required any discussion questions, work plan development. Essentially, it's like you're engaged with us and we're able to still engage with you through the disbursements. But it is just a good thing to look at is it comes in about quarterly every few months as $6,250. Oops, it looks like I missed one. So just again, just like another way to look at this is the timeline. We have our application due June 30th, 2023. We have our award denial notifications will be roughly around July 25th, 2023. And the fellowship timeline, so the beginning of the fellowship is expected to start around August 15th. And we will start with our individual check-ins in August as well. So it'll give us some time to kind of touch base with each other, understand kind of what you are needing and kind of get the ground going. And then we'll also start having our cohort check-ins with staff bi-monthly starting in September. And then again, the fellowship convening will be in summer 2024. And you will have to do a fellowship report at the end of the fellowship. So just again, kind of wrapping up everything from like your program completion, but everything we do during this time together will be in support of the report and with the final documents as well. So at this time, we are done with the presentation. You can see more information on our fellowship page at tribalsolar.org, and you can go ahead and ask any questions if you have them right now.
Hello, everyone. It's John Teller. I'm helping run tech for the webinar here. We don't have any questions, Angelica, in the chat or in the questions box, but a couple of questions that I had is, one, you briefly mentioned of the TSAF Sustainability Summit that's going to be held in Denver, Colorado this year. I believe the dates on that are August 1st and 2nd. You showed for this year's Tribal Energy Innovators Program, they need to have their W-9s and everything in by August 5th. Is that going to be enough time for any of the TEI fellows to be able to attend the convening or the summit in Denver this year?
So for the fellows in their attendance of the convening, it will be for the following year in 2024, and that is mostly for the administrative side on my end to be able to move through and lead this summit that we have, as well as to be able to give attention to our individuals, to our upcoming fellows. So we are not going to be meeting in August of 2023. We will be meeting in the summer of 2024 for this current cohort. If you have interest and you are selected as a fellow and you want to attend this tribal summit, please reach out and we can talk about other arrangements that might exist. But as for the funding portion of it, the fellowships will be funded to attend the convening in 2024.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. I wasn't exactly clear on that if you wanted fellows to attend this year. And I know there is a separate convening that we would have. So I was just wondering about both of those. Another question I have, and I kind of get this one a lot, online and stuff, is what type of candidates do you typically see applying for this? Because the TSAF leadership and experiential learning programs offer a scholarship program, as well as internships, and the summer associates program, which is also currently accepting applications. The Tribal Energy Innovators Fellowship, is that geared more towards a wide variety of individuals, or are you looking more for people who are looking to develop their skills in the industry?
Yeah, so I think we have like different phases. I would say, our scholarships in our summer associates program and our internship are kind of more so that introductory level to tribal renewable energy and gaining skill sets around this work. And so it is kind of, again, like maybe people who've only been doing this work for a year or less and have genuine interest in either like gaining skills specifically around research policy that want to go that route, For the fellowship, we are more so supporting and looking for applications who are currently like in the midst of doing this work. That we know that we have a lot of tribal leaders and a lot of tribal members who kind of have been looked at or pointed to say, hey, this is of interest to us. We want to explore tribal renewable energy. So they're in the development stages of those plans. So we don't want to exclude anyone who might be like, this is like, they're getting called on to do that, because we definitely want to provide support for that. But I think this is more so you are in the planning phase and you are going to actually really start delivering on some of these goals within the next 1 to 3 years. And so that's kind of who I see for candidates. But again, we have a diverse group of candidates that we have seen. And we want to really encourage that too. So like I said, if we've had individuals who were really interested in this work for years and years, and they never quite got the momentum for the support that they needed to do this work. They had studied it, they had done it, they had interest in it. And when they applied to our program and became a fellow, they were then given access to the resources to be able to take steps to really start implementing these projects. So I also want to recognize that diversity and that background that might exist.
I think that to add on to that too, some good candidates that we would like to see are people who are interested in moving along in the installation field as well, and the engineering fields. Those are some highly sought after skills that are being, and I would say recommend going into, because of the surge in renewable energy industry right now. We are going to need a ton of people who are able to start their own companies, or will be starting their own companies, and will be able to coordinate installation. I just predict that that's something that's going to be very prevalent in the next year moving forward.
Yeah, and I would also say too, anyone who's maybe working within their tribe, as in a climate capacity, environmental health, air quality, we have seen that really be of service to gain these skill sets, especially as they are oftentimes looked at to really help initiate these programs and this planning. And I've also seen two individuals who are very, very motivated within their communities and kind of have operated as a consultant as well within their tribes, or kind of with external tribes, to help assist with this work. So that administrative part is super, super powerful, super important, and again, innovative in creativity. So definitely having the opportunity to just, again, maybe it's not necessarily limited, but there's so much within tribal renewable energy and creating leaders right now that we definitely just want to emphasize that a lot of backgrounds are welcome to join us, but we definitely are kind of seeing that trend of needs right now for what John was talking about, engineering, technical assistance, things like that. So be as creative as you can be, really tap into the work that you've been doing. Many of you are probably already experts and leaders, and we look forward to learning from you and what knowledges you have to share with us as well.
Look like we have anything in the chat or in the questions box, but I think one more thing to add to would be, just if you are interested in applying, or somebody who is interested in applying, by all means submit an application. Refer someone to submit an application. We'd love to take a look and have you be potentially part of the program.
Yes, I would say so. So thank you all for joining us. If you have any other questions, please reach out.
Thanks, everyone.